Alert reactor. Roll off.
What's going on, Reactorites? And welcome back for another review of Arrow. I just finished watching the latest episode titled Sins of the Father. And, you know, I gotta say, I was a little underwhelmed. The episode was okay, but overall just didn't have that same punch last week's episode had. I think my favorite part of this episode was probably Felicity's story. Like, Felicity's story with her father, I think that was really cool. Like, it was very deep and very emotional, and also, you know, they bring in Felicity's mom for a quick second, and you know, usually you've seen Felicity's mom before in this show. She's hot, she's a blonde, she's kind of ditzy, she's a little, like, you know, she's very comedic and very easygoing, but as soon as Felicity mentions her father, like, her demeanor just changes like that. She's just very serious, very straight to the point, just no, like, you know, messing around. And it was just cool. It was very cool to see that character have like that edge and that, you know, trait that we've just never seen before on the show. And just, you know, this was a really great story for her, Felicity, as well. Just like, I think this season they just been trying to rebuild her back up. So, you know, this is cool. It's a cool little story for her. And, you know, it's deep meaning because of her father, and I think it's great for fans. Like, this gives her more backstory to her character and just gives her a little bit more, you know, chutzpah. But I have to say, you know, the main story arc, I thought, you know, it was really that interesting. I thought it was going to be a lot better, and it just wasn't. Like, the whole idea of, like, okay, you know, the two sides of the league fighting, you know, obviously Nessa wants to take over, and Malcolm, you know, wants to save Thea. But the end, like, the meaning, or not the meaning, but like the reasons behind it just didn't make sense. Like, you know, everybody's just kind of like trying to explain to Malcolm, like, you know, you should just give up because, you know, this is, you need to save Thea. Thea is your daughter, you know, you would want her to live. And, you know, he just doesn't see it that way. And then even the same thing with Nessa, they're telling her, like, you should give us the Lotus so we can save Thea. And just nobody's listening to any reason, and there's just like, there's no need for this fight. And then by the end of it, it didn't matter anyways. Like, it just didn't make sense. And then by the end, you're just kind of like, oh, okay, that's that happened. They try to paint this picture that Malcolm Merlyn is like, he's power hungry, or, you know, he tries to plead his case, like why he doesn't want to give up the league. He says, like, oh, you know, they're in charge of, you know, the league is bigger than this, and the league are in charge of making, like, you know, world events and, you know, hundreds of years. And it's like, okay, we really haven't even seen that in the show at all, besides, you know, maybe like the undertaking, and then you had the, you know, the fight with the Mirakuru. That's about all we've really seen of the league. But in the end, Nessa disbands the league anyway, so it's like everything that just happened didn't matter. Like, Malcolm Merlyn loses his hand in a fight between Oliver Queen because he wants to represent Nessa in this battle of, you know, whatever, trial by combat. The other thing I thought was interesting is that Nessa keeps referring to Oliver as her husband. Like, I think that's pretty interesting note. Like, I know they were married in season 3 because of Ra's al Ghul, but I would have figured, like, by now she would just kind of, like, you know, forgotten about it. But the fact that she kind of keeps mentioning it is kind of interesting. I don't know. That might lead to something on later on. Like, I think they're trying to do, like, kind of a similar thing what they did with Talia al Ghul and Batman, like that similar kind of story. After the whole trial by combat, they meet in secret, and they're all just standing there watching Nessa, and she just burns the ring and melts it down, and then says that she's disbanded the league. It's over. She says that, you know what, you guys are right. You told me that, you know, I didn't have to be my father, and I could, you know, do something else, and that I was free, and that, you know, you fighting for me, Oliver, you know, you showed me that, you know, there's something more to life. And it was just kind of like, okay, so everything that just happened, all the people that died, there was a few people, even in a scene where the league is fighting in the middle of the street, they got innocent people died over this, and this could have all just been avoided if Nessa was just like, oh yeah, you know, this is kind of pointless, and just burn the ring. And then now Malcolm's mad at Oliver for the hand thing and for the league, and it doesn't make sense. Like, why would he be so infuriated? Like, he says, you know, after Nessa walks off and just kind of like, okay, this is over, he says, you know, we're not done here, and, you know, the reason why I'm not going to not going to kill you has nothing to do with Thea. It has nothing to do with the fact that at one time I thought you thought of you as a son. It's, you know, because death would be too, you know, whatever, easy of an end for you. Like, he's got this huge vendetta against Oliver Queen now, and it just doesn't resonate with you. Like, there's not enough reasoning. I mean, unless Malcolm Merlyn was really, really, really into being Ra's al Ghul, but most of the time he wasn't even there. I mean, he didn't do anything with when he was Ra's. Like, majority of the time, he would just randomly show up in, you know, Star City and just kind of like, hey, what's going on? Like, I'm checking on Thea. How are you guys doing? Do you guys need help? That's all he really did while he was, you know, part of the League. So it just doesn't make sense. It just there's no reasoning behind it. Now he's got, like, he threatens Oliver, and the last thing we see he's talking to, you know, Damien Darhk, and then he reveals Oliver Queen's son. Like, he's like, you really want to hurt him, you go after the person he cares about most, and he cares about, you know, his son, the son that, you know, not even Felicity knows about. Remember, that was in the crossover episodes. Oliver negated to talk about it. So is it William? Is William the headstone? Like, I think that would be an interesting, like, plot twist. I mean, I guess, because, you know, we've all been clamoring over whose grave it is. It's not Felicity's. You know, we've already saw that. It's definitely not Barry's. Definitely not Oliver's. So whose gravestone is it? William? I could see that as it being like a reason why Oliver would say, you know, like, I'm gonna kill him. And then even Felicity, when, like, they go into the limousine together, she's like, you have to kill him. You need to kill Damien Darhk. So that might be the reasoning behind it. We'll see. Overall, I thought the episode was okay. I just wish there was better writing into making me feel like, oh, this guy, he has a real vendetta against, you know, Oliver. I just wish the episode was better. I don't like doing, like, negative reviews. I don't like it, especially for, you know, shows I like, and I like Arrow. I've loved Arrow, and I love the characters and, you know, what they built, and this is obviously how the Berlanti universe started, so it's kind of hard to just not, you know, notice it and just kind of not acknowledge it anymore. Like, I remember one of our, you know, constant viewers, Eric Reload said, like, you know, hey, you know, how could you just not watch it anymore? And it's hard to watch a show that's not as good as it used to be. Like, hey, that's what happened with me, and, like, I think even John as well with Heroes. Like, the first 2 seasons, they were great, and then it was, as it just steady decline, it's just watching this, you know, watching something you love just die this terrible death, and you're just like, just put it out of its misery. But I still, you know, we see glimmers of hope with Arrow, especially with the last episode, and if we could just keep that, like, that steady pace and that steady momentum throughout the season, Arrow would be great. Arrow would be on par with The Flash. But right now, I hold The Flash up here. You know, Legends of Tomorrow, it's a new season. I mean, it's a new show. We're only 3 episodes in, so it still has room to grow, but I think Arrow needs to set the bar again. It was the first to really, you know, introduce the whole idea of, like, hey, we can do comic book, you know, TV shows, and we can make it serious, and then we can branch it out into a full world and a full universe, and it needs to reclaim its spot at number 1. Like, this week, this week's Flash was rated the highest it's ever been, so it's like, it's kind of hard to, you know, not notice that. And it's like, I feel like Arrow needs to have, like, sort of a competitive edge. Like, I feel like, you know, they started with that first crossover episode. You had Team Flash and you had Team Arrow. Now they just need to keep that going. There should be some kind of competitiveness between the 2 shows. You got Team Flash and you got Team Arrow, and, you know, hopefully the competition just breeds greatness, breeds, you know, great content for us, the fans, and then, you know, for them, the actors and the people behind the scenes. So that's just, you know, my take from this week's episode. But let us know what you guys thought about it. Let us know in the comments below. We read your comments. Thank you guys, all of you who've been commenting in the past, and some of you have come back and been talking to us. Some of you have followed us on social media. Thank you so much, and we appreciate it, and we read your guys' comments. Sometimes we can't get to them right away, but, you know, we'll try to respond and take any questions you have. But until then, we got one more show, DC's Legends of Tomorrow, for the rest of the week, and then that's it. We'll be back again on Sunday for Walking Dead, the mid-season premiere. But until then, I guess I'll see you guys next time.